Pick them up, let's go!
Elfrida, Arizona, May 9, 1979. Last-minute preparations are underway before this wagon train pulls out to begin a 4-month, 1,600-mile journey. There are 96 teenagers on board who are chronic offenders, aggressive, tough kids who've done time and who were headed toward doing more time. The adults are from the staff of Vision Quest, a private child care treatment program. For the angry young people on the train, all traditional efforts at rehabilitation have failed.
Don't ever bail out. Here comes another one. Let go! Slow down, slow down!
Now Vision Quest is going to take a crack at it. I'm Betsy Aaron. Every year, more than 1.5 million kids under 18 get into trouble, and almost 1 million of them end up in jails and institutions. States tackle the problem by running rehabilitation programs. Most of those are traditional, but the majority of their graduates return again and again to serve time. It's a growing problem with no solution so far. There are a number of organizations trying new treatment methods with kids. One of them is Vision Quest. For a fee, they'll take a kid no state wants. Their treatment is unorthodox and controversial, a confrontation technique so tough and at times so frightening that there have been charges of child abuse. The most spectacular and visible part of the 7-year-old program is the wagon train. Many of the charges of abuse stem from what happens on that train. We wanted to see if treatment by confrontation worked and if there was any abuse. So from time to time, we traveled with the train north through Arizona, across the Rockies, and on into Denver. It was a hard, physically demanding trip, designed to challenge the kids into finally finishing something more than a jail sentence. Making it on the train means growing up, moving through a rite of passage into adulthood. The Plains Indians call this trial Vision Quest, and for the kids who will make this trip, it will be a trial unlike any they have ever been through. Robin is 17, a heavy drinker with a temper and a long arrest record. Jane is violent and has a record of theft. She is 16. James is a gang leader, jailed for assault and burglary. He is 17 and suicidal. Steve has been in and out of institutions since he was 6. He is now 16 and has been declared hopeless by the courts. Tracy is 15 and has lived on the streets since she was 12, a life of prostitution and drugs. Most of these young people have been given the choice, Vision Quest or jail. They come from Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and Pennsylvania. Before heading out, they listen to Vision Quest director Bob Burton.
All of you have come out of the correction system or the mental health system. You all know what it is to be locked up behind a door or behind a barbed wire fence or be controlled by some sort of drug that they shoot into you. We're giving you the right and the responsibility to enter your own adulthood without anybody in control of you but yourselves. Most of you, your lives have been based on losing. And this gives you an opportunity to show everybody in the country that your life is yours, not theirs. What goes along with that is you got to take the responsibility for everything you do. This trip is going to be extremely confrontive. We're going to confront your weaknesses. We're going to promote your strengths. And we're going to ask you to win. Weed Killer, are you ready? Ready! All right, wagons, ho! Let's go, move out. Get out of the way, lad. Let's go, get out of our horse. Down, you. Come on, get him going, let's go. Come on, mule.
It's clear on the first day out, no matter how much freedom the kids seem to have, the Vision Quest staff will be on their backs. Although choosing the wagon train instead of jail seemed to be easy, it was a decision some would regret. In the words of one kid, what a choice. A year in the dark or a year in the dirt. Jake Devonshire is wagon master. He's responsible for moving the wagons an average of 17 miles a day. Pete Rinaldi is program director and counselor. They are part of a staff of 60, all working under Bob Burton. What is so overwhelming about Vision Quest's confrontation technique is that the staff can read kids' faces and smell trouble. With the trip just 2 days old, Burton stops the train because he senses something's wrong. Steve's planning to run.
You got something to say, I want to hear it. I don't want this sneaky stuff coming out of you. And when somebody tells you something around here, you better live up to it. You understand me?
Hey, you asked for a haircut a while back, didn't you?
I told him to get a haircut a while back. Oh, he's talking to this one over here with all the jewelry on. What the hell is she in, a fashion show?
Tracy, take the jewelry off. And what'd I tell you?
What are you here for?
Run away.
Running away? From what?
Placements.
From placements? What got you in placements?
Messing up, not going home.
What else? Oh,
What
come
else?
on.
What else? Yeah.
What? What?
Drugs.
Drugs. Okay, that's the kind of anger that goes inside. I want to see your anger outside. And if you were carrying 2 syringes around here the other day, that's typical of you.
Look at this, Doc. Look at this.
What
It's
is
a
that?
list of things for the run. Things for the run. Look at this. His asthma medication, a compass. He's organized about this.
Hey, get down off that wagon.
Snake bite kit, radio, knives, compass. Where you running to? South America? Guns, ammo, 357. Who else? Shotgun. What is this?
Come here.
When was this written?
He's on the run.
This ain't all
Who's
yours.
this?
Well, let's find out who
Who's
else.
this? It's the same damn hammer.
Man, I'll tell you, I smelled you. I smelled you. You know that? I smelled you. I can just see it in your face and everything else. You're just blowing these people off around here, ain't you?
No. Great. Colombian gold. Jeez.
Heroin, speed, crystal, cocaine, black star, green dragon, window pane, four-way. What is this? What's this? Is this your life history? Oh, it says acid around that. This is the whole thing with you, isn't it? And nobody's ever touched this, have they? Nobody's ever touched these issues with you. You've just been sliding around here, son. You've been worming your way around here. Now, it's all been found. Now, what are you going to do about it?
What the hell I got, Dad?
Somebody just needs to take you under their hand and trim you up and clean you up and take all this garbage out of your wallets and that you carry and razor blades and all that sort of stuff. You need to be undressed so you can grow up.
Burton defends his technique.
You know, to look at it, it's tough. But to me, what it equals is fairness in his life, and instead of having somebody slam a door on him or put him in a cell or a straitjacket. Yeah, so I might be standing in front of his face saying, hey, look, idiot, why aren't you dealing with your issues? Why do I have to deal with them?
I want to know if you would like it if somebody came up to you and stood this close to you and started screaming at you.
Depends on what I was doing and where I was coming from. And if I brought it on myself, then, I mean, that's the thing that's understood around here.
What's understood around here? You've
Did
got
you-
a bunch
did
of
you bring-
teenagers out there who,
Yeah, who
are
came
trouble.
from jail, and they got a choice. I mean, I used to work in institutions, and I started wondering after I was there for 4 or 5 years, you know, why is this kid different? And I found out that he's usually so afraid of himself, and that nobody will stop him. He gets suspended from school, he runs away from his home, he gets banished from his community, and nobody will deal with his issues except a locked door or a fence or some sort of shot of psychotropic drugs or something. And I got sick of it.
These kids look so young and so vulnerable. And some of those kids are dangerous.
Yeah. But not as dangerous as they would be if you gave them another 3 years in some locked facility somewhere. Then they get dangerous. We don't look for that weak link to break that chain of delinquency. But we are. And we're doing it with anger, because that's where they're coming from.
For Steve, having his hair cut in front of everyone was a humiliating experience. But the haircut was a first step in controlling him. Tracy's a tough kid. She's streetwise and she wants everyone to know it. But Burton's not buying her act.
And you made some commitments to this program, haven't you?
Huh? No, I haven't made any commitments.
You haven't made any?
1-year commitment. That's one commitment that I've made.
A 1-year commitment. What went along with that?
The ring my mom gave me that I'd work on myself.
There are drugs, no sex.
Oh, I haven't had any drugs, and I haven't had any sex.
How about running away?
No, I haven't run away.
But did you make a commitment not to run away from here?
No.
What? Who interviewed you?
Sam. She didn't make me make no. She told me we ask you to make certain commitments. 1 is a 1-year commitment. 2 is that you'll have no drugs or alcohol. And 3, yeah, okay. So I did make a commitment not to run away. All right. So I remember.
Well, that's the issue then. That's what I'm talking about. And where honor comes in is living up to your commitments.
Well, maybe I don't have any honor.
Where were you at before you came here?
At home.
Doing what?
Nothing.
Doing what?
Absolutely nothing.
Well, were you in the court process?
Yes.
For what?
Drug abuse, prostitution, runaway, and incorrigible.
Hey, Tracy, there's no doubt in my mind that you're having a hard time with yourself at this time in your life, and you should look for another way. And we're going to try to help you find another way.
In the past, when a situation got too tough for Tracy to handle, she ran away. The court placed her more than 10 times, and each time she ran. The days can be very long and monotonous, walking alongside the wagons or riding. Kids who ride have earned the right by taking care of their animals and by taking care of their own problems. It's later in the day, but the morning's confrontation still hangs in the air. Burton confronts Steve again. This time, the approach and the tone are different.
You know what I did to you this morning? I became your dad, and I cut your hair. And I said, you're going to stop, because you wouldn't do it. I had a father who turned around when I was 14 years old, and he wouldn't let me do anything. As soon as I started getting over the edge a little bit, he snatched me right back. And you've been wandering around out there in no man's land for a long time, and you're sick in your guts about it, aren't you? Well, here's the golden opportunity, because it's all been found out. It's all been laid right out in the ground in front of you, and you have a choice now. How about helping an old man up? You young kids. All right, let's go. Yeah, we'll get back. Come here for a second. You ever touch anybody?
What do you mean? How?
Well, have you ever been able to touch anybody with, instead of just having sex with them, or?
Yeah.
Okay, because I can see, getting close to you. That's why I grabbed you this morning. I wanted to jump right inside you. I was going to pull you so close to me that I was going to crawl right inside your gut. That's what I was trying to do. Wasn't trying to hurt you. You understand?
Yeah.
We try to put it into some sort of perspective for them. Try to get them to understand their anger. Try to get them to resolve their wounds. Try to get them to deal with their own frustration and stop having it splash on everybody. And at times, the only way they'll listen, or the only thing they'll listen to, is something that they have a basic respect for. And that's for somebody that's going to care about them, somebody that's going to discipline them, and somebody that's going to stop them. What I saw sitting in that driver's seat this morning with all them rings on was a 25-year-old lady. That's why I said lady to you. And it wasn't because it was real. It's because that's probably what you've had to force to be. And then later on, you're singing, running up the trail, and you look like a 13-year-old girl. But you're still shaking your ass at that outrider behind you.
Well, what do you mean by that?
Why can't you be a 14-year-old girl?
Because I'm used to being the head of my family, I'm not used to having people tell me what to do all the time. I'm used to telling people what to do, not somebody telling me what to do. You know, I took care of my mom. I paid the rent for her. I bought her groceries, you know. I told her where she should live, you know.
But you got to find a way of getting through this without having to depend on being wrong all your life to support your needs. Yeah, you hit it this morning when you said, I hate men.
You do, too. You can see your look on your face, but you don't.
Well, what you've done, though, is you've seen the worst part of men. You haven't seen the side of manhood that you're probably attracted to, and you'll probably want to balance in your life. The part that you'll probably want to marry and have a family with. That's why I said the men around here ain't going to try to sleep with you. They're going to show you the side of manhood that you probably are looking for. You probably know a lot of personalities in your life, and you've been able to read them that fast. But the biggest one that you can't read is your own, and that's the one that's probably terrifying you.
Yeah, that's another commitment that I made, is that I get to know who I really am, because everybody knows that ain't me standing out on the street corner.
The wagon train has been on the road now for 6 weeks, and it's moved close to 700 miles into northern Arizona.
First Amendment.
At dusk, when the wagons pull into camp, the teepees are already up because half the group has driven ahead in buses and trucks to do the work.
You know, you big pissed.
Even now, after a long, tiring day, the confrontations continue.
And you turn around and I ride in, and the first thing you do is walk up to me, huh?
Burton used to be a pro football linebacker, and his manner is sometimes overpowering. So overpowering, it's embarrassing to stay and listen.
And make it come out to be some kind of energy instead of be some kind of sickness with you.
He's been treating children in trouble for 15 years, and there are very few kids he'll refuse to help.
What's the problem with that kid?
That's Gilbert. He's acting his anger out. At least he's striking back or striking out at something. But when we got him, we could set him in a corner for 4 hours at a time, and he would drool. And the psychiatrist that said, hey, this guy is the kind of kid that terminally winds up in institutions. And you'll see the way Pete works with him. Pete's going to bring him right back down. He's the kid yesterday that I turned around and said, Gilbert, you got to realize you're going off it a little bit right now. I can see when it starts beginning. You start getting a little wiry, getting a little strange sense of humor, and then it's like start carrying your head funny, and you just got to start focusing yourself on your job. That's all. And what I'm saying to you is, I'm saying get control of it. Don't let it control you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What are the odds of helping that kid, sending him back to society so he can function and not hurt himself or hurt anybody else?
I couldn't tell you. All I know is I can just keep trying. I don't know. I can't tell the future with a lot of these kids. All I know is that the majority of them make it through this. Monday morning.
Gilbert couldn't make it. Vision Quest worked with him for a year, but finally just ran out of ideas, so they sent him back to New Mexico. There is no full-time psychiatrist on the train, but when it's clear that a kid needs constant psychiatric supervision, he's either sent back to his state or to a Vision Quest group home where that care is available. The Grand Canyon, a third of the way home. And for a few moments, troubled kids become tourists.
We'll see if we can hear the echo. All right, you ready?
There's a lot of learning going on out here. Some of it is survival training, and the rest is traditional high school study. So far, Tracy has been avoiding or trying to calm the staff. When a new teacher tries her hand at counseling, Tracy zeroes in on her.
Ah, see what I mean? Just quit playing psychiatrist and just tell me what you want to get to.
Tracy's the kind of kid we'll just keep trying stuff with until we find something that works.
Mary Harper is one of the senior staff.
No. And she's real confused about how come we're not buying her act.
I mean, I'm going nuts out here on this wagon train. I mean, I can't stand to be here. Every day something's happening. I see things that make me want to just throw up.
What kind of things?
The confrontations, people screaming and crying, people telling them, well, your parents are like this and you're like that, and, you know, it bugs me.
How do you think anyone could get through to you, Tracy?
I haven't even figured it out, you know. It seems that unless I can get through to me, that nobody else is going to be able to do that. I mean, no matter how tough these people are with me, you know, no matter how hard they try, I don't see how they can do that unless I do it first.
Her father pushed her into drugs and prostitution, and her mother couldn't control her. Tracy still can't face that. So 6 weeks out, she runs away. All but a handful of kids have real problems dealing with their families.
You and Pete and me are going to sit down and have a long talk about what's going on with you and your dad.
You know, nobody taught fathers how to be fathers. Do you know that? Some people don't know how.
Facing the past is still a big problem for Steve. He can't accept the fact that his parents don't want him and that his fantasy world of drugs and sex won't work either.
Every once in a while when I get real mad and wake up on the angry side, you know, I feel like, damn, I want to go back to these drugs and I want to run away and I want to do all the things I did before.
So you get out here on a wagon train and some big guy grabs you and he says, hey, how did you feel that day?
It felt pretty bad. Before I came here, I was wanting to clear myself up and get all these problems out of me. But I wouldn't do it unless anybody would shake me up and tell me, you know, get it out.
He's always run from every place he's ever been. When he feels that people are getting too close to him. So I guess we've been a little careful and moving slow. And now he's at the point where he's starting to ask for people to get close to him.
It's 6,000 feet up, and the nights are getting colder. Burton has encouraged the 17 Chicanos on the wagon train to form a group which he calls the Vaqueros, Mexican Cowboys. And he's picked James, a gang member from the Denver projects, as leader.
I heard some rumors about pot that's been brought out here.
Tonight, there's trouble. The Vaqueros have been talking about guns and violence, and the staff has found drugs.
Matches in this thing is here's the brown people in this program that won't take responsibility for themselves. You want to feed off drugs, huh? Yeah, you know what that means? Yep. Taking responsibility for who you are? Not who you are as a person. I mean, not your name. Your color. When do you take responsibility for your color?
That's the whole thing with you guys. All your color means to you is I don't know nothing about nothing, and I'm going to take over the White House in a couple of years. Hell, I've had you guys tell me Saturday nights are for cutting each other up. You put yourself 100 light years behind everything, Mr. Godfather. And what I don't understand is the rest of these guys follow you. And I can't believe they're that dumb.
Hey, didn't I ever tell you that the hardest thing for you to do is to be a leader? And what you do? You turned around and you fell down, didn't you? You fell right on your leadership, didn't you? Hey, James, man, your leadership's got to be adjusted. I mean, you understand that at all? Where are you leading everybody? I want to hear it. Where are you leading everybody?
Down.
If you want to stay together as a group, I want to see who's going to sit down. Hey, I admire you, man. I admire you for standing up. I think that's the first honest thing I've ever seen you really do. I'm glad you stood up. I'm glad somebody here stood up. Do you know anything about leadership? Yeah. Okay, you are the leader. Come here. Whether anybody likes it or not, this is the leader. You understand that? Does everybody understand that? And you don't understand? You want to hear something? Come here. You are not the leader.
Yeah.
Do you understand why?
I know why.
Well, I hope you earn it back. Yeah, blow it off. Okay, you want to be like him, huh? Now, you don't want to be the leader. Right? Yeah. I mean, you're the guy that should be.
Hey, James, it hurts you.
No, he's real right now. That's the realest I've seen him. So do you crumble? Do you melt? Huh? You got to think about it. Man, you don't need to think about it. You need to react to it. You know that? Because, you know, there's something about there's half of you. There's half of you. Half of you that really, half of you. There's half of you that wants to do everything the way it should be. There's half of you. And then the other half just falls and collapses, doesn't it? The other half just melts, doesn't it? Well, I'm kicking that other half. I don't want that other half. I don't even want to deal with that other half. I want to deal with the part that's the winner. So I'm taking the pressure off you. You ain't the leader. I want you to be the follower. I want you to take that part of you that wins and wants to win. I want you to be the follower. I want you to be the positive follower. You understand that?
Are you gonna do that? I don't know.
I didn't ask him. I ain't asking you. I want you to do it. You understand? You understand me? I want you to do it. Are you gonna do it?
Yeah.
I want you to do it. Look at me. I want you to do it.
Hey, get moving in there a little bit quicker. Come on, get moving.
Got a watch on. Let's get a perimeter!
It's been 3 months and 1,200 miles since the train left southern Arizona. The long climb into the Colorado Rockies has begun. 3 days after she'd run, Tracy was picked up and returned to the wagon train. As they climb, the weather turns cold and rainy, and Bob Burton's got some big problems. The states of Arizona, Colorado, and New Mexico are conducting intensive investigations into charges of child abuse on the wagon train. And while they're at it, investigators are checking Vision Quest's finances. It costs $21,000 a year to put a child on the train. Not the most expensive treatment program in the country, but a long way from the cheapest. And the states want to make sure they're getting their money's worth. But money isn't the main issue here. It is the suspected mistreatment of kids which generates the most controversy.
Don't you see the guy's face like that?
No, he got into mine!
Well, don't look at it, and look at me when I see it.
He got into mine, then I wouldn't back down.
New Mexico sent Dr. Larry Doak to take a hard look at Vision Quest. Doak is chief child psychologist for the state, based at the New Mexico State Hospital. Vision Quest uses confrontation. Is that a proper treatment for the troubled children in that program?
I think for some of these kids we're talking about, that form of intense stimulation may be what it takes to get through to them.
How many times I gotta ask you to clean something right, huh? How many times I gotta tell you to quit acting like a creep? Well, you know, you gotta be a normal human being sometime in your life. There's gotta be some time in your life you have to be normal. Shit. Yeah.
They're not just giving him feedback on his misbehavior, but they're directing him toward more positive and more responsible actions.
It's not very right. Matter of fact, it's wrong. And to blow up and lose your temper is all right sometimes. But the way you do it gets confusing. Because you get afraid of yourself. You get really afraid of yourself. And that scares the best of them. It scares you because you're out of control. Probably scares your stepdad and especially your mom. You ain't gonna listen to that, are you?
Yeah, I'm listening. Because it's right. I don't like to get mad. I put a guy in a hospital in an oxygen tent one time because he was a staff member and he got in a
proud of that? Or
it scared the shit out of me because I couldn't, I just got pissed off and I couldn't control myself.
Well,
and I thought I was crazy or something.
Yeah, well, maybe you still think that. There's ways to get this all out without going all the way over the deep end, son. There's really ways to do it. I'm not afraid of you going off the deep end. I'll control you. You ain't gonna hurt nobody. You ain't gonna get hurt.
One of the things I think is a problem with the confrontation methods is that they really don't have a good basis in the literature. They haven't been studied very well. They may work with some youths and they may not work with others.
Others take a stronger and more negative view. Colorado papers carried charges of child abuse on the wagon train, and most of those charges came from former staffer Dorn Cranard. Cranard, a high school graduate without any formal training in child care, had worked on a previous train for 2 months before dropping out.
I have very strong feelings about the fact that their confrontation therapy is bad, because I have seen all the violence that goes on, and I've seen their confrontation therapy go on, and I just can't justify myself that violence in terms of working with children.
Let's back up a little bit. What kinds of violence, specifically?
Well, have you been on the wagon train yourself?
Yeah.
The touching, what Vision Quest refers to as the touching, the grabbing of children's clothes, the pushing to the ground, the verbal and physical intimidation that they use.
Do kids get shoved to the ground on this wagon train?
If they're out of control. I mean, if they lose it, it's rare. It's not an everyday occurrence. But yes, there are times when kids are put on the ground in a restraint fashion. I mean, it's not like we're dealing with, innocent little children that, that are on their way to the Sunday school picnic, and we jump out of the car and throw them to the ground. I mean, you got to understand the circumstance.
Get off! Get the...
Robin has lost control and has to be restrained by Jake and Pete.
It's not a seat-of-your-pants operation. There's a lot of scientific, as well as emotional, as well as experiential and empirical things that go on here.
See, this is the thing I told you about. This is in you. This is the thing we've been talking about for a couple weeks now.
What about the kid who says, "Don't touch me, I'm listening to you, but I don't like to be touched"?
I wouldn't touch him, as long as he's dealing with the issue. The majority of people around here that touch kids have to be screened for that, have to understand what that is. Jake and Pete know every kid on this train, every background, every name.
Oh, Robin, what is this? I don't like you guys. I can't breathe, that's why. I can't breathe. Nobody's even on you. I'm holding him. Who the hell are you holding?
One of the main things that people have trouble with us is that we touch kids. And we do that very openly, and we've always been very open about it, and we're open with it when we take kids in and with their parents when we take them in. We say, we're going to touch this kid.
God, you got to be touched. Men got to touch each other. And not be afraid of it, not misread it. Didn't you ever have a man just stroke your head, hold you?
Nope.
Huh? Things are really bullshit.
Nope.
You ever had a man touch you?
Why not, Robin? Whose fault is it?
It's not mine.
You're gonna blame it on everybody, right?
And you've been trying to get close to me and Jake for a long damn time, and you don't know how.
That's right.
And I'm wondering how we do it, huh? How are we gonna do it then? We're gonna sit here and we'll play this game. We'll talk to each other on an intelligent level, and we'll intellectualize our relationship. It comes down from feelings, man. It comes down from what you feel inside. If I feel emptiness from you, it's empty.
Pete is he's a walking nerve. Literally puts himself in the kid's thoughts and reacts to them.
The kids I back up 1,000%. I just want you to be real. A person, just like anybody else. That can hurt, get angry, can have feelings about blowing up. That'd be good.
Even though you're lost and scared.
I'm scared all the time. I'm scared coming down the mountain. know, it's a real hard thing being responsible for a lot of kids' lives. I'm scared I ain't doing a good job every now and then. So now I'm different. Now I ain't the person you think I am, huh?
In some ways.
And when people point a finger at you and say you abused a kid, what do you feel like?
Of course it hurts your feelings. I mean, it really hurts mine.
I mean, these kids are masters at abusing situations. There are staff that get blown out of here by kids. The situation is abuseful. I mean, this isn't a 9-to-5 job. I mean, this is a lifestyle.
And 50% of the staff can't take that lifestyle. Some just burn out, others drop out. Staff turnover is one of Vision Quest's biggest problems. It seems to us the staff is either very good or very bad. The very bad are fired immediately.
You're hiring staff with so many problems that they can't hack it and they leave. Why'd you hire that
This
staff in
field
the first
breeds
place?
that problem. There's a lot of people here looking for themselves in this field.
It's taken Burton 7 years to put together a skilled inner circle to run the program with him. But he says there just aren't enough of these people with the talent to get through to these kids.
That's why we're upset. It's because you're playing girlfriend to the entire camp. And you're swishing around here acting sweet and innocent and flirting with every guy in camp.
Well, I'll tell you where you need to be at. You need to be sitting in a locker room sometime when the guys are talking about you. You need to be sitting in one of these teepees when you're not around.
How? She's already heard all that.
Hey, it sounds like the talk out of a butcher shop talking about meat on a block. And your name gets dropped around this camp like mashed potatoes.
I didn't used to do this every time. And then every time I did it was to hurt myself.
Do what?
Like here on the wagon train, you know, I haven't done nothing for myself. Then
Can we cut the dramatics and tell us where you're at?
What is
You know, and tell us where you're at with
me
us?
or what?
Are you worried about abuse on the wagon train?
I think the people who were applying those confrontation techniques are able to control themselves and to avoid getting into abusive situations with the kids.
Is it hard to walk up to a teenage girl and look in her face as you did a couple of hours ago and say, everybody thinks you're just a piece of meat?
In a way it is, because I know that out of context, that really could wound. And if I didn't have the relationship with her, there's no way I could have done that. And she knows in her heart that there's no way I'd intentionally hurt her.
What's your definition of abuse, child abuse?
Taking somebody's dignity away, invading somebody's life space without cause, degrading, humiliating, and just not giving them any rights.
Have these kids been abused?
No. They've been loved aggressively at times.
Handful of thorns and you know you missed it. Lose your love when you say the word mine. I wanna go to a long hard town, long ago in a western town. Pick me up when my feet are dragging, give me a lift and I'll hail your wagon. Love's the road that you cannot pick it, only grows when you're on the vine. Handful of thorns and you know you missed it. Lose your love when you say the word mine. Love's the road that you better not pick it, it only grows when it's on the vine. Handful of thorns and you know you missed it. Lose your love when you say the word mine. Mine. Love is a rose. Love is a rose. Love is a rose.
The wagon train has left the Rockies, and Denver is only a few days away. For Tracy, Denver is home, where her mother is waiting. It's 4 months into the trip, and Vision Quest has finally touched her.
I've really left myself open for them to see a lot of things about me. Even the closest people to me have never seen some of the stuff that they know. In a way, it leaves me in a good spot, because then I know that when I'm having troubles, you know, and it's really hard for me to do something, you know, like talk to a staff or something and really be honest about what I'm talking about, you know, they can just come in like they did the other night.
The other night, Tracy got a letter from her mother telling of a new job and a new boyfriend. Knowing she'd be upset, Mary and Sandy talked to her.
Do you think there's a possibility that it would be nice to be in a family, in a complete family, a whole family, and be a kid, and not have to rule the roost, and not to have all the responsibilities?
It would be nice, but I mean, I always dreamed of something like that. But it never works that way, it seems to me. It never will work that way. I don't like to hear some of the things they tell me, you know, that I know are true. Like, you know, well, you did it. You did it to yourself. It's not fair that I'm not there to be in my place where I belong. And it's not fair for her to do that.
Well, la-dee-da.
Yeah, la-dee-da.
He was right. You are a selfish little bitch.
That's right.
That's right. That's exactly right.
It's not fair if Mom's enjoying herself when you're miserable. It's not fair because she doesn't give a shit anyway.
And it's not fair because she put you here and it's all her fault.
And it's not fair because some man might come in and kick your little rear end right into its rightful place of a 15-year-old daughter type person in a family.
I'm starting to understand some things right now about myself. You know, my attitude, my snotty little, you know I'm snotty. It's sort of a thing I had going for a long time, is to purposely, intentionally hurt people before they had a chance to do it to me.
As the train moves closer to Denver, the Vision Quest staff must make some decisions on each kid's future. Some will ride the next train back to Arizona. Others may go to a Vision Quest group home or a street program where counseling will continue. Some are ready to be released.
What's going through those kids' heads? Those kids who lived in Denver, who did some pretty rough things in this city, and now they're coming home.
It's success, though. I mean, when they left here, they were banished. I mean, what they've done now is they've earned their way back. If you don't base everything on failure, I mean, it just gives you a whole new way of looking at life. And there's going to be kids in this group that are going to fail. There's kids in this group that are going to depend on having somebody be in control of their lives. And I mean, no, we don't do 100% success. I mean, it's, I'll be glad to tell anybody that. I mean, we're trying a direction. We're trying to institute a different concept in dealing with failure-orientated kids. Where the success comes in is what they feel about themselves.
I feel great. Me and Pete getting along great, and Jake.
How do you feel about yourself right now, today?
Really proud. I feel really bad. I feel great.
And Jake believes Steve will make it.
He's getting recognized now just for being who he is. He's a lot more human, he's a lot more warm, he's a lot more confident about coming up to somebody and sharing just himself with them. He was really selfish, really wrapped up in himself. That's all changed.
It's almost impossible to accurately measure success in the child care field. Burton hired a private consulting firm to do it. Their study showed that close to 7 out of 10 Vision Quest graduates don't return to institutions. But the state of Arizona says Burton's figures are high. What cannot be argued is the fact that Vision Quest does as well, if not better, than other treatment programs and jail. Judge Fred Anthony from Erie, Pennsylvania, joined the train to check on the kids he'd sentenced there.
Well, the 5 that I sent out here were the most delinquent I had around. They were what I would call dead-ended. They simply were without hope.
You know, out here, you're somebody. It's like finishing something. I never really did finish anything in my life, you know. I'd either start it and stop, you know, quit. But I'm finally finishing something in my life. I think it's a step.
I think it's a major step.
It's the last night out, and for 150 people, the realization that the trip is almost over has finally hit home.
I mean, I get great relationships with these kids. The one thing I know about my experience, and from my experience, is that when they leave, I don't necessarily need them to come back and pat me on the head or me pat them on the head. They got to grow up. They got to grow on.
Bob Burton is both child care expert and businessman. And in his role of entrepreneur, he is also a showman. And so on September 20th, 1979, the wagon train rolled into Denver in full parade dress.
If you want to call success showboating, then okay, I'm guilty. We're saying, yay us, we succeeded. We like being winners.
All state evaluations have been completed, and Vision Quest has been cleared and relicensed in each state. According to Arizona authorities, there has been no pattern of abuse on the wagon train. Vision Quest isn't perfect. Mistakes have been made and corrected, and they continue to be vulnerable in their staff training. But overall, it is considered a good and valid alternative.
It's really scary. Just the city, Denver itself, really brings out a harshness in me, you know, that, I don't know, it's just all the memories and all the people that I know out there and, you know, all the things that I could be doing out there, you know. I have a really bad reputation out there at this point. My mom's out there.
Ironically, after approving the program, Colorado decided it was too expensive. Arizona and Pennsylvania decided its fees are reasonable and are sending more kids. It's a real reunion. While the kids were being treated on the train, parents were being counseled at home.
The parents are prepared to understand what's going on with their kids. They're prepared to be parents. Discipline is the name of the game. I'm not talking about the toughness of abuse or anything like that, but I'm talking about the toughness of, you know, maybe the emotional support it takes to say to a kid, no, you're not going out with your friends tonight. I want you here. And these parents have to do that.
I know she won't ever be the way I want her to be. She'll never work on anything. She'll never change. She may not be able to control me, but if I have the control in myself, I can just learn to live my own life instead of living hers all the time or trying to live up to her expectations. It won't be that hard for me. It won't be as hard as it usually was.
Steve realizes he's going to have to make it on his own.
Congratulations.
Without the mother who doesn't want him.
It's been a long way, huh?
Sure has.
Well, these kids finally finished something more than a jail sentence. For now, they are winners. It's been 5 months since the wagon train pulled into Denver. Tracy's still in the program. She's in school and is working on her relationship with her mother. The Vaqueros stayed together through the rest of the train. James earned back his leadership, but once at home ran away from the program and has been in trouble with the law. Ray is learning a trade and has a job. Jane is still in the street program and is doing well. Robin's also in the program and he's learning to shoe horses. David's living at home and he's no longer violent. Steve has stayed away from drugs. He's living in a group home where the house parents have become family. Of the rest of the kids who made the trip, most are still in the program and they're doing well. A few have been in trouble. 4 have been arrested and 2 of them are in jail. But it's still too early to figure success rates for this group or to predict whether the kids still in the program are going to be able to make it on their own. Putting a kid on a wagon train and confronting him with his problems is only one small way to deal with a juvenile delinquent or criminal kid in this country. And it is far from the only way. But what we did learn on this trip is that for some kids, the dropouts, the throwaways, those abandoned by their families, confrontation does work. These kids can be reached, and they can be redirected. For CBS Reports, I'm Betsy Aaron. Good night.